Hello everyone and welcome back to Fleet's Random Ramblings. Yes, we're back. We're back at it once again. Apologies for being a little bit late. I know, like 2 days late. This is very true and I am very sorry. But as it turns out, switching forward to daylight savings time has for some reason this year completely knocked me for 6. So, yeah, the first 2 days of going to work and that really fucking sucked. But, we're here now. We're not dead. We live, I think. Well, I think I live. I'm fairly certain I live. .99% sure. But yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy! Oh. Jesus. Excuse me. Oh. Excellent. Welcome one and all. I exist. I live.
He speaks.
Well, of course I bloody well do. How could I not?
Well, you weren't speaking.
Well, anyway, this will be a fairly short one today. I'm still not entirely all here, I have to admit. So probably go for about an hour, maybe 2, depending on how I'm feeling. We'll see. But it's fairly chill, fairly laid back. It's called a Ramblings because it technically is one, and I'm using it to answer the Ramblings questions asked by those kind folks over on Patreon. But I'm keeping it very chill, very laid back. Not really stressing too much over the details. Those of you who were in the Discord will have seen my rather funny April Fool's / meme history discussion I did. Which has really gotten... I'm glad to see some people getting into the spirit of it. Chair really getting into the spirit of it there. But yeah, so Team Woolock asks, panel's go-to comfort snack. The one the one you really want when you were feeling down. Cheese. I like some brie cheese. If I'm really feeling down. I do also tend to go in for a McDonald's if I'm really down and I just can't be bothered to cook, because those two things usually go hand in hand. Sour cream dip with, like, party food as well. Like, you know, cocktail sausages, small sausage rolls, ham. That also goes. Like, that also is my comfort food. Oh, and alcohol. Alcohol is my friend. Now you. Canadian man who is in Japan. Oh, but also is Chinese.
I blow my money on really expensive sushi.
Ah. Somebody get this man a panhandle. Oh boy. No, I'm not sure I like that. It kinda... I kinda like it, but I kinda don't at the same time. I'm sat there going, yes, you exist, but also no. Please stop. Please. But yeah, so let's get some questions. So Knight is the only person with questions right now because no one on Discord is asking them. That's fine. So we'll have some Knight questions, and then we'll have a little discussion on a little fun topic that, seeing as we are in April Fools, I do want to discuss a little bit, which is the thing we've been talking about in historical discussions. So. Nice one. As the idea of the Legend class base Flight 1 for the new frigate not having VLS is Russian propaganda from Russia Today, which I'm still not convinced, by the way. I'm fairly certain there was a USNI article published that they wanted to build 4 of them. I've been trying to find it, but I can't find it. But I'm sure it's out there. And then they canned it. But literally last week's ramblings, we had a detailed discussion of what the Flight 1 Legends were going to have. The specs have been released. They're there on Wikipedia for you to see. Next question. Russian World of Warships. I don't really care about World of Warships or have any idea what World of Warships is. But just to answer the second part of the question, O-class hull with 3 380s. If the O-class was designed with 915-inch, would Bismarck use triples? No, absolutely not. Because the O-class came after Bismarck and was supposed to be built, I believe, after H39. So, at that point, you'd still be using twin 15s for Bismarck and Tirpitz. Next question. Nice. The one thoughts on the Tier 10 Shenandoah announced on the Russian World of Warships closed beta test, which is based on the CL-1514 cruise with 3 single 8-inch guns fore and after and in an Atlanta-style layout. It's Russian World of Warships. It would be very hard to make me care less than I already do about it. I literally have no thoughts on that abysmal pile of Russian-produced garbage.
Yep, it's quite literally state-owned propaganda.
Yeah, I literally have no thoughts on that Russian garbage. If you want to go to me about Western World of Warships, I may have some thoughts, but I could care minus about the Russian World of Warships.
Right, I gotta get right proper warships.
We're not. We're talking about Russian World of Warships, but we're not. We're nearly done. Oh gosh, she's gone.
I've summoned the guy in the know. He should be here in.
I mean, we're done. We're done. We're done. We are done.
I just got him.
Yes, but we're done.
Yeah, just fulfill Knight on why we don't answer questions on the Russian World of Warships.
Oh yes, he can say that bit.
Right, I was wondering where these were coming from. Because I've been keeping an eye on things. Most of the Russian World of Warship stuff is literally just whatever they'll want. Like, tense play radar. Because, as I recall... Because which one is it referring to? Because there's at least a couple of them I saw there. One about Waterloo and one about a different one.
Yeah, he's referring to 3 different ships, but they're all basically... They're not even paper or napkin designs, they're just bullshit.
You're wrong. Immediately Fleet is wrong. Actually, what's it called? HMS Waterloo is based on the... like 1950s British gun destroyer concept. You know, the one that uses the Vickers, not Vickers, the 5-inch like 72.
Yes,
it's that one.
It's the one that where it's the revolver fed one.
Not even revolver fed. It is full magazine. It's standard fed. But it still gets ludicrous rate of fire.
Night. Just because no one else is asking questions, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to spam the questions.
No, I can understand why he's doing it though. Like, because there's at least something to talk about.
I mean, I was going to pivot into something else.
You can pivot.
Yes.
And also, I would just like to commiserate myself quickly, because
Mhm.
12 hours ago, my
Yeah.
Skyrim audio stopped working. I changed nothing. I've been
Nope.
rebuilding my Skyrim, and I've got the audio working again.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've been looking through some of the April Fool's things. I am very disappointed in War Thunders.
Well, I'm just annoyed there's not British stuff.
Yeah, that as
Like,
well.
it's a perfect opportunity for V
where
bombers.
Vulcan? Where Vulcan? Like,
Mhm.
where Vulcan? Hello?
I'm more annoyed I'm being forced to fight top tier Big 29s in a fucking early Phantom.
I'm not gonna lie, they picked the classic bear, which I do love me a classic bear, but, which is nice. But like again, yeah, I would have liked some British stuff. I would have liked the option for both sides to have two
Oh,
I would have liked the option for both sides to have two bombers. Basically, a high altitude aircraft like 52 and Tu-95, and then a lower altitude penetrator.
You've got those. It's Phantom.
No, nuclear penetrator.
Yeah, Phantom.
No,
And
The
then
Phantom, you
it's
know,
nuclear
like
capable.
the Phantoms carry 30 kiloton and 5 kiloton nuclear bombs.
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, the reason I'm saying it is because I want there to be an option for Vulcan to be the low-level penetrator with high-yield warheads for the Allied / NATO side, and then the Russians can get the original flavor Tu-22.
Not quite how it works for the event, because each nation's meant to get one bomber. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't be a case of the Allies get B-52 or Vulcan. It's America gets B-52, Britain gets Vulcan.
Right.
I'm just
Like-
more confused why the NATO side is just Vietnam, US, and the Russian
Well, you can
side
bring
is
up
just
you can bring any
Afghanistan.
you can bring up to any 13 aircraft.
which means you can
what
bring
if-
post 2020.
Yeah,
So
no, that's
me
why
who
I'm
has
like,
no
And-
US, me who has
Why?
no US jets, I'm currently flying an F4 Phantom
Yeah, it's like
E2. That's like
so basically
pain.
again. So they've basically made an April Fool's event that is top tier wank, basically.
But it is also allowing people to mess around with top tier. To be fair,
yeah, but
and
who cares about top tier? It's shit.
a lot of people.
A lot of people,
They're not
Pepper.
letting new players mess around with top tier. They're letting new players take
Be fodder?
phantoms against top tier.
Yes, but to be fair, the fact that I managed to kill multiple MiG-29s with an F4 Phantom,
The point
I'm
I'm
happy enough
making
with
is that we've had some really unique April Fool's events for War Thunder, and what we get this year is
Missile
it's
tests.
That like 8 years ago.
underwhelming. It's
Well, no, like
underwhelming.
right, remember, April Fool's events are test events to see how does stuff work.
But they used to also have
They
fun
stopped
events
doing
alongside
fun April
it.
Fool events like 8 years ago.
Go.
Yeah. I miss
Like-
Tailspin. I want Tailspin to come
Like
back.
for instance, what's it called? Last year's was World War One.
That was
and
okay.
that-
That was
No,
okay.
It was it was god awful.
No, it wasn't.
That was brilliant.
Last year's wasn't World War One. Last year's was infantry.
Was it infantry?
What
but
was
I-
the year before that?
Yeah, but the World War One stuff was to test infantry on a battlefield and how that functioned. And the World War One stuff was god awful.
I loved it. It was brilliant. Like
It
finally,
evolved into a
finally,
really bad meta really quickly.
finally, a break from top tier garbage.
And instead you get low tier rubbish,
Yeah, which is infinitely better.
which
Top tier.
wasn't better because they had no traction, no power, nothing.
And it's more of when one team has a 76mm gun and armor piercing rounds, the other team has 57mm guns and HE only. The fuck?
I think honestly the thing that would have made this better would be A, actual proper brackets, but also B, allowing more than just America and Russia.
But we
Have
have
it
to
to like
feed, but we have to feed the cash cows. We have to feed the cash cow nations.
they're literally selling British top tier premiums at the moment as a special.
Yeah, but they don't want you buying British top tier premiums. They want you buying the Iranian hot Tomcat.
Well, they don't because you're not going to be buying that realistically.
I just
You think what? You think Gaijin cares about realism?
yeah. That's very true. There's a reason why I'm glad I'm not playing War Thunder anymore.
Realism is what they proclaim it to be.
I'm still allowed to grumble about it though. Yes, I am literally the meme of the old man yelling at the cloud. But I embrace it. Anyway, so to divert to the Leet's brain failed for a moment. Give me just a minute.
Okay, actually, so more of these ships that Knight's referring to are real than you might think.
Can we not give credit to Russians for anything ever, please? That would be nice.
I will when they're getting some facts actually correct. For
we-
once.
Can we not? At least until they've redeemed themselves in the eyes of the world?
No, because either way, it's a case of even if they are currently doing things that are bad, if they actually are doing some factual stuff, that's good enough for me.
We don't praise Hitler for building the autobahns, do we?
Actually, people do.
Well, those people are idiots.
No, people don't celebrate him for praising the Autobahn. People praise him for being the progenitor of modern animal rights legislation.
Either way, the point I made, we don't celebrate him for that.
You've never talked to Peter, have you?
Who?
PETA, as in the US organization.
Well, I mean, are we sure they're not Nazis?
No. No, we are not.
This becomes more and more sketch as we go on. On the topic of World War II, so I put an interesting history discussion premise, which was April Fool's inspired for a little bit of a lols, but it did get me thinking. What would...
Careful, don't hurt yourself.
What? Come on. Can I have a little bit of less of the jabs, please? I'm tired. I don't have to be
that's
here.
That's literally her response to anyone saying that, Fleet, so that one's not just at you.
I know, but for God's sake, give me a little bit of a break. Anyway.
Why would I?
Because it's getting fucking tiring, that's why!
If she doesn't give me a break, Fleet, good luck.
Anyway,
you're trying to say something, so say it.
So,
I'm an equal opportunity warmonger. I'm sorry.
The whole joke was basically based around an alternate world where, you know, super duper OP Nazi please nerfs won the Second World War. I'm talking full on flying saucers, heat rays, mecha soldiers, the full 9 yards. And basically the premise was from like a perspective of that world, how could the Allies have maybe possibly slightly won the war? Basically, alternate history from an alternate history that's so out of whack it's not even funny.
So what, pull up Fiora, right?
Kind of, yeah. And I was thinking, how would the Wolfenstein Nazis, if they ever did, look at, like, think about, oh dear God, what if the Allies won? What would the world look like? It's like, because they had no concept of what a post-war world would look like. Just as we have very little concept, well, no, we have a decent concept of what a Nazi world would look like, because they kind of laid it out in neat black and white. But then again, do we? It's one of those things where it's an interesting thought experiment.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
My only problem with it is that it's an alternative history of an alternative history that makes it almost impossible to actually.
Oh no, I'm not trying for a. What is the accurate statement? It's more of a.
I just don't know what the statement is. Period.
That's fair.
It's one of those.
To simply say there's an occult following for Kaiserreich, no one likes Führerreich.
People do like Euroreich, it's just known as the
Nobody
Schizo.
likes Führerreich.
I like Führerreich.
But yeah, but you're a schizo.
Yeah, but the devs.
Um,
I like it mainly because the devs actually put in the work to flesh everything out properly and actually. Are a mod that
They
actually
didn't.
worked. Yes, they did. Icons exist. Praise be to the icons. Praise be.
anyway, can we answer one of Knight's questions? Because
Did we have
As
to?
I unfortunately just don't have anything to say on that topic. So, like I said, I just don't know.
yeah,
Let's see. Let's see.
I
Let's
really
see if-
don't want to get into the cultural politics of Nazi Germany. And that very much is a cultural politics of Nazi Germany question.
I mean, everyone knows what the cultural
Like,
politics of Nazi Germany was. It's not exactly controversial to say they were racist bastards, is it?
I'm not saying it's controversial. We're just saying
Yeah.
it's a topic that's not interesting to go down.
If we had a whole bunch of people who had studied this for years, it would be. But right, think of it this way, like,
Why does
slavery after the American Civil War and post-American Civil War and racism were deeply entrenched in Southern American culture, right?
Yes.
And it's a backdrop to a lot of the literary and written works and later movies that come out of the South, right?
Yes.
Including stuff like Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes.
But there's more to the cultural context and cultural backdrop to the American South than slavery and Jim Crow. Jim Crow and slavery is only a part of that, right?
Yes.
The Nazis were very similar to that. Because it's an actual field of study how the Nazi beliefs integrated and often rode against the underlying German culture that had been enforced on Germany by Bismarck and the Prussians.
Right.
And how it interacts with the more culturally understood German militarism and cultural norms. Would have to extrapolate how Nazi Germany won and give 60 years of cultural shift, because cultures aren't static,
No, of course they're not.
to answer that question.
Yeah.
Because, as with a lot of fascist regimes, when there's no direct threat, the culture undergoes a degree of liberalization because it has to. But what form the inevitable Nazi liberalization will take will dictate how they see alternate history. And we know that type of cultural context and change happens even under totalitarian regimes because it happened in the Soviet Union with Russian and Slavic folk music.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened in Japan and in British India. So without that 60 years of context, we can't say.
No, that's fair. You'd basically
Slavic folk music.
you'd basically be writing fiction more than anything else. You wouldn't be getting an accurate statement. But that's fair. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to discuss it, because it's basically another chance to hammer in that message, basically. That you need to, if you're gonna give us alternate history questions, you gotta don't divergence points need to be close in, and your timelines need to be not far long. Because
because a very interesting thing that shows, I think, really good way to show that the Nazis their control over German society was nowhere near absolute as they wanted to believe it was. So as everyone here read the book All Quiet on the Western Front, or at least seen the movie.
Yes.
That book was banned in Nazi Germany.
I wonder why.
Oh, even as early as 1940, the Gestapo and Himmler's organizations were playing whack-a-mole with publishing houses releasing books soldiers were writing about their time on campaign and the dark side of being on campaign. With I can't remember his name now. But he actually got shot by the Gestapo as a traitor for writing it. But his work, despite the fact that he was a soldier in one of the Panzer divisions, is one of our best first-hand accounts from the time it's going on of the Holocaust with bullets.
The Holocaust with bullets. That's dear.
Yeah, and it's like counterculture movements are interesting.
Yes, they are. They are in fact all of those things and more.
So yeah, do we want to move on?
We do, but I wanted to give you a chance to say shit like that because it's genuinely interesting and fascinating to me to listen to you talk, especially about stuff like this. I genuinely love it when you do.
Yay.
1931 asks, how inadequate was Lorraine's AA battery of 875mm, 837mm, and 16-13.2mm Hotchkiss AA machine guns by 1941? Just so you're aware, that I will be cherry-picking. But then again, I do cherry-pick anyway nowadays. Yeah, Lorraine's anti-aircraft battery was hopelessly inadequate by 1941. But that's not particularly surprising, given that she'd not been doing fuck all for a year.
Who's anti-aircraft battery?
Lorraine.
I'm assuming French battleship Lorraine.
Marine
or the actual
Nationale.
province of Lorraine.
Marine Nationale Lorraine.
Yeah. The Revengers didn't exactly get that much of an
We haven't got to that question yet. 1981 was Battleship Lorraine with her 10 13.4s, 14 4.1s, NA battery of 875s, 837s, 16 30.2 and Hotchkiss considered worse than Avengers? Yes, in basically every respect. They had worse broadside throw weight. It's genuinely hard to overstate the difference in broadside throw weight the 15-inch brought to the British battle line. Just for comparison, the QEs with their 8 15-inch guns have a broadside throw weight that I think is either 20 or 30% heavier than the Iron Dukes with their 10 13.5s.
Yep.
And go on.
Because square cube law works in their favour when it comes to throwing weight downrange. Which is why the jump between 18 and 16 inches is such a big thing. Anyway, so you're saying.
It's alright, I'm done.
So I just checked. Yeah, Lorraine is the one.
She sits around doing fuck all.
Yeah, she joins Free French in December 42. Underwent extensive refitting, including oh, okay, right. So her 13.4s were not capable of high angle firing for modern battle ranges.
No, she never got the upgrade. The one that was most heavily up, there was one of the Britannias that got very, very heavily upgraded, but only one of them. It's the one that it's the one.
She would undergo extensive refit, including improved anti-air defenses. gun radar installation, fire control radar, and her gun elevation would be increased to match combat ranges with the R class.
The only vessel that had this work, that had similar work done to it pre-war, was the one ship that was very, very heavily rebuilt.
That was Bretagne herself, wasn't it?
Yeah, because she actually lost her midships turret.
Yes.
And it's why she was such a target at Mez El Kabir, and why she got so heavily exploded.
Because she was the one ship there that when Hood was just bombarding from the outside before Dunkirk and Strasbourg made the break for it. She was the one that could actually match ranges with Hood.
Yeah. 96831 asks, with the view of history, can we say permanently defanging Japan and Germany was looking back a stupid idea from the start? I'm not gonna lie, Chief. I'm looking at Japan and Germany right now. And, I don't see defanged nations. I'm gonna be honest.
I do.
I'm looking at one that has one of the larger navies on the planet, and I'm looking at the other that has a fairly substantial armaments industry still, and has the potential to rebuild its armed forces, and during the Cold War, maintained one of, if not the larger, non-US NATO ground forces. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think they were permanently defanged. They were temporarily demilitarized and then allowed to reintegrate gradually into the global order. Japan is taking slightly longer owing to its constitution, but Germany's basically fully there at this point.
Germany's not.
No, it's not.
So, right.
Thank
Japan's
you,
got the
Arvid, it
issue
was
of
Lorraine.
Article. Yeah. Japan's got the issue of Article 13. They're limiting what they can actually field. Germany, the demilitarization process in the 50s and 60s wasn't really aimed at the armaments industry in Germany, or the industrial sector of Germany. It was aimed at eradicating the militarism in German society. And even today, we see the massive after effects of the forceful demilitarization of German society. The Bundeswehr still, even throughout its period of having conscription, was plagued by corruption and draft dodging. And with just the cultural impact of military service being seen as the one job you do because you can't do anything else in society. Which is why in the modern era, the Bundeswehr's really struggled to rebuild. And why even today, until the last couple of years, they weren't reaching recruitment quotas. Like, yes, Rheinmetall is still militarized, but German society isn't. Although you could argue that for a lot of European society.
I would also push back on the fact that it was a stupid idea. I think, given the way in which the world developed and the rocky road that Japan and Germany did have during the Cold War on their march towards the states they are today, I think leaving any significant part of their military culture or military apparatus from pre-end of hostilities intact would have been a mistake.
I'll disagree with you. Would Japan support you when it comes to Germany?
I would actually say the stronger case is Japan, not Germany, but go on.
Because the world had, in the span of 30 years, gone through two of the biggest conflicts in human history in the name of German militarism. Actually, you can argue that if you stretch it back a bit. Three of Europe's Europe's three biggest military conflicts in its history has been caused by some part at least, to German militarism. Earlier Prussian militarism. And for Europe to be relatively peaceful and united, that dragon had to be put to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And as the First World War and Second World War showed, you had to take it out back and shoot it yourself. It wasn't going to go away by itself. Japan is much more of a... In
Japan's much more
hindsight,
complicated.
Japan's much more complicated. And I'll let Moe do this one.
Why do you think he
Here I
knows?
Here I was sitting here waiting for you to say something that
Right.
probably wasn't gonna end well.
Well,
Why
here,
did
here
you
you go.
to you?
Here you go, Moe. Fire
I mean-
away.
There isn't much to say other than just it is Japan's biggest issue is the fact that it is industrially and technologically it blew up the fastest in the early 20th century, right? Compared to most of the other major powers, let's say. The problem with Japan is that at the time, the culture isn't truly ready for the scale of the global order, let's say. They were I have to word this carefully. They are the warrior class from their feudal era hasn't fully disappeared yet. So there's still a lot of influence that class is exerting onto the political will and the cultural will of the country. Demilitarizing them basically after the war basically nips any chance of that warrior class surviving.
And it enabled those who were on the edge of that class but could see its destructive nature, people like Mitsumasa Yonai, the Emperor in his later years, and some other politicians of similar vein to them, to finally deal the killing blow from within, basically.
It is basically this is the most extreme thing that that the Allies could do to Japan culturally.
But it had to be done. It had to be done. Like, whether it was a good...
Because
Go on.
Japan is probably... So, Fox was probably correct. Japan's probably the one that probably didn't need the level of demilitarization that it did. Mostly out of sheer fact how ridiculous the level of damage Japan received during the war. The will to fight is just not really there anymore. But with the addition of demilitarization, Japan grew up in the post-war world in a relative pacifist state.
I would say, with the advantage of hindsight we have, defanging Japan the way it has been was a stupid idea. Especially because of how the world has developed. Now, Japan has a okay industrial complex. They're starting definitely to get, but to be blunt, in that area, they were the major player. Then China's come along as a threat in that area, and Russia's still a threat in that area, and others are a threat in that area. And now it's a case
That's-
well,
China is a recent arrival.
That's
recent
mostly
recent as in
just-
1970s onwards.
No, the Chinese Navy wasn't really a threat to.
But
It's
but
more than just the
after
Chinese
but-
Navy. Because, for
but
instance,
but-
I'm talking about strategically in the area. Give me a sec, Fox, if you wouldn't
yeah,
mind.
okay.
For instance, Korea. China is a direct threat to Korea. So, and China doesn't need a navy to deal with Korea.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things in the area, China does not need a navy to deal with. And even in the past 30 years, so if you go from the 1990s, they then are a threat navy-wise to the people in that area. The only people they have not been a major threat to have been the US. And to be blunt, especially with the benefit of hindsight, like it says, we have the view of history. The idea of relying solely on, oh yes, the US will protect us, we'll have a self-defense force, but we need other countries to come in and basically help us if anything does go too far, isn't a smart move. Now, as Mo said, there wasn't the will possible, so you probably could have reasonably kept some level of armed forces in Japan as Japanese. You could probably let them even have some navy still, and a navy that actually has guns on their ships. That one, I think, was utterly stupid. Forcing them to have disarmed ships was just stupid, to be blunt.
I fundamentally and categorically disagree on basically every level. The Japanese flat out could not be trusted post-war in the
Why?
same way simply that owing to because there were multiple attempts by various members of the former armed forces to coup the government in the aftermath of the Second World War.
Perhaps having forces that were loyal to your government might have helped there.
Yeah,
No, because if those forces are part of the same command structures that had previously existed, which is the whole point of defanging, is to remove those structures, they would not have been loyal to the new government. They would have been loyal to the idea of the old Japanese order, and that would have resulted in the fall of the democratic Japanese government and the rise of an ultra-nationalist state in its place.
Not really, because also you still have the US and British forces in Japan post that period, which would be able to deal with that.
And you made the comparison to Germany quickly, but Germany, especially West Germany, let's not get into the chit with those East Germany. West Germany, after the re-establishment of the Bundeswehr, almost had it seized control of the government 3 times. And it's because I think Fleet's right. Getting the people, individuals who were part of that power structure, out of that power structure, and arguably a lot of those people should have got the same trials as the Nazis did. But
That
they
makes
didn't. But the issue is in the West, we call these soldiers' households, where their families, we have them in the UK, they're in America, they're in large parts of Europe, where my dad was in the army, I'm in the army, his granddad was in his army, and people whose entire lineal tree is they've served in the armed forces.
We're all off to go and get PTSD.
Yeah. Having a subsect of your population who are partially inclined culturally and are subject to the micro-cultural pressures be a part of the armed forces is, especially in peacetime, how you preserve a lot of the military tradition in that country.
Hmm.
It's how, because one of the things I've been listening to a while back was, how do you stop the proliferation of corruption in a system, especially one that's designed by nature and necessarily to be as opaque as possible, such as the military? And one of the main ways you combat that is by a strong cultural emphasis on military service and not doing the bare minimum. And not having the dregs of society, the people who couldn't make it anywhere else, be the people that are signing up and being a part of that system in the peacetime. Which is why, as much as we don't like to see it, the glamorization of soldiers is very important to a degree, with the military continuing to be a functional organization. You have to have people who want to be there and are being paid appropriately.
Mhm.
And
is
have
one-
the cultural investment, which the best source of that are those military households, that warrior class.
Mhm.
And by completely eradicating that in Japan, even when they're allowed to rebuild the self-defense force, it can't get the skilled, loyal, nationalistic elements it needs to be a high-functioning military. Because
Unfortunately,
there's not
the
that culture
self-defense
around anymore.
forces, the self-defense
Yeah.
force in essence has basically been built
I'll be back in a
with
second.
a
Keep talking.
completely, entirely different cultural-minded people. It's no longer just full of ancient 20th century samurai, basically, that who's still trying to follow the Bushido code.
To be fair, I think you still could have had that if Japan had been allowed to keep a military, personally.
Yeah, it's
But
like,
you would have to remove. I do agree. You would probably have to remove the previous leadership. But that's kind of a given, because as Fleet did rightfully point out, some of them were very much yes, no, we need to remove this. Like we want the old government back. That's not going to happen. But
This is, I mean, I agree. This is partially the reason why I said, out of the two countries, Japan's probably the one that didn't need to go to this extent. However, historically speaking, Japan had not been a relatively peaceful country to its neighbors whenever it had the chance to. There had been enough historical precedents where even if the U.S. wasn't going to demilitarize them, most countries in its surrounding area, in Japan's surrounding areas, would not have enjoy having a Japan that retains a military force.
I think, especially in modern context, that probably would have been a good thing.
yeah, and it's even if it's a token force, keeping a solid link between the past and the military traditions of the past and the present is very important for maintaining a nation's martial culture. And creating a sense of patriotism that will have people signing up for it in times of crisis. That can help offset some of the negative elements of military culture.
To be fair,
Also-
that's what the self-defense force officially did. It's just they had to rebuild everything from scratch.
Yeah, and I would argue from an outside perspective, they haven't done the best job of it. with from what I've been listening to in the 80s and 90s specifically, a large amount of cultural apathy towards the armed forces, which, from a functional fighting force perspective, cultural apathy towards the armed forces might even be worse than losing a war.
That's just mostly coming down to the cultural apathy towards war itself.
Yeah. As I say, I think to a degree that's also a problem now that a lot of people in Japan don't want any war-based assets, which means it's actually affecting their ability to be that defensible. Like, yes, no, we shouldn't have any air bases because this is what leads to the return of World War One Japan. It's like, or World War Two Japan. It's like, no, no, that's not how it should be. But
That's not a very. That is a very minuscule amount of people.
Hopefully, but it's it's been enough that it's vocal enough. I don't. Yeah.
I mean, I think
No, that's just mostly. Sorry, give me a second. That's just mostly down to social media being a much more prevalent force on magnifying a singular voice.
Yeah. But I do think it has led to Japan being unable to utilize a lot of its economic and societal strengths. Because Japan has one of the world's largest and most successful nuclear industries. And yet, because of demilitarization, even their large surface combatants they're building aren't allowed to be nuclear. And we swear these aren't carriers, Gov.
To be fair, I don't think they have a need to be nuclear.
Well,
being nuclear maybe
would,
not.
Given their lack of local petroleum resources and refining capability, even part of your force not requiring petroleum or petroleum-based products to work, it's very much a strategic necessity. That Japan is effectively locked out of.
Now, okay, that discussion is going to go down into a global lockdown on trade, which is, sadly to say, no country is surviving.
But the point is that that Japan has, because of Article 13 and demilitarization, it's not able to do stuff that would really help it from a defensive position. Such as
Article 9 has always been a problem over time. It is problematic mostly because Article 9 is instituted during an era where the prime defense of Japan comes from the states. And that has technically that still hasn't really changed, but fundamentally Japan does indeed have a level of capability to defend itself. But obviously the entire issue now just comes down to the threat that Article 9 intends on, or the era when Article 9 is written is no longer reflects the era the current Japan lives in.
Okay, do you want to move on to the next question?
We don't technically
Are we
have a
still
next
going?
question because yeah.
It was
Hello,
technically-
Runon. I see you have appeared.
Anyway, thank you for keeping everything going while I was gone. This is why I have a panel. Well, one of the reasons I have a panel.
But I want to talk about Nazis.
No one
I
said
don't.
you are literally the person who wanted to.
She's making a joke.
Anyway, so moving swiftly onwards. Suo to how do you say that? So duo to ni, I think. Asks, how long does Canada survive in this hypothetical neo-Nazi bait scenario? It doesn't.
It
we're
doesn't.
We're talking about Wolfenstein Nazis here. UFOs be upon ye.
Indeed. Canada don't exist in Wolfenstein.
Nice that they're on. If the buying class had 8 350mm guns instead of the 380s like the Mackinson class, what signals that send to the British and other naval powers?
It doesn't.
It doesn't
That Germany
send
has fallen behind completely.
it doesn't send a signal. The Bayerns are built at a point, and the Bayerns represent a massive step change in German capital ship construction. It's hard to overstate the difference they make. There is a reason why the Bayerns are the way they are, and there's only a pair of them. This is the German Navy being forced to admit, we just can't. We can maintain where we are, but we ain't fucking competing with the Brits. That ain't happening. Oh, and also, the army has a bayonet behind them. There's that as well. So they decide, well, if we can't compete quantitatively, we can at least keep up with what the British are doing in terms of quality. It's why the Bayerns are 2 ships armed with 15-inch guns.
Yeah, but the entire point of Knight saying instead of the 15s, they go with 14.3s or whatever.
I mean,
basically means that that just basically signals they can't even bother keeping up qualitatively.
Yeah, and also if the Bayerns are gonna have 8 of 350s, they wouldn't have 8. They'd just be bigger Koenigs. They'd have 10 350s.
It's either that or Bayern is much smaller than
And they might be able to squeeze a 3rd ship in with the cost they've saved. But that's about it. There's no real signal sent.
It's not a good signal. As simple as that.
Yeah. If the British had got the 12.7mm quick-firing 5-inch 56 naval gun, what caliber would follow it after? Who knows?
12.7. 12.7.
5-inch 56 caliber. There. Be happy. Stop being a grammar Nazi.
127
That's more.
millimeter translates to 12.7.
Look,
That's a very small gun.
Look, I have been.
That's a 50 cal. That's it.
Anyway, what caliber
I
would
think a
follow?
50 cal is slightly larger, isn't it?
What caliber?
12.7? No.
What caliber would follow a 5-inch 56 caliber naval gun? Who knows?
In what period?
If the British,
This gun is what's it called? 50s and 60s.
Who knows?
It's
It's
a
just
4-inch 50.
No, actually, I don't think you see them drop down to 4-inch.
In the fully automatic mounts, probably.
This is the fully no Voxo. This is a fully automatic gun.
Yeah, but
Like,
the
Yeah,
naval
but
guns
it's the same
do
reason-
scale down.
It's the same reason they went from the 4.5 to the 4-inch. Because the 5-inch
scale
is
down mostly
more
because-
expensive.
And just the gun has slots as primary armament role.
yeah, guns are secondary armament now and have been for some time.
yeah,
They're useful secondary armament, to be
I
fair.
don't see them dropping down to a 4-inch unless they are forced to by cost, and that would be weird.
And they wouldn't go to 4-inch.
Well, it'd be weird.
They'd readopt 4.5,
Yeah.
which is what we did
That-
in
Which nation is this?
the
United
RN
Kingdom.
in the 50s. I mean,
That also mostly depends on which class of ships.
Because which 4-inch are you referring to, Foxo? because I don't. It's been a bit such modern ships, but I don't recall them dropping to a 4-inch gun, do they?
No, she's speaking hypothetically.
There was a period. I thought
Well, no,
there
like
was a
she
period
said,
where
like
they-
historically they dropped from 4.5 to 4, which is why I'm going. I don't think they did, but no, I think they actually probably do stick with this 5-inch gun because
If
the
you've
reason
got
why.
it,
Well, because the reason why is if you're going with this gun, potentially this means the 1953 cruiser, which isn't really a cruiser, has went with it. Which, keep in mind, this ship is partly why the counties are built. County-class destroyer, that is.
if
If this has been actually built, you've got a much, much better gun.
yeah, like this
Also-
new 5-inch 56 will be a very good mount for the. In fact, it's probably the
Well,
gun that we.
It's a downgrade. It's a downgrade technically from the 5-inch 70 and the 5-inch 62.
It is, but
But
it's an
that's-
upgrade from
I was about to
4.5.
I was about to say, but it's a downgrade that makes sense because it's a much smaller, much lighter, and it's also much better as an anti-aircraft gun.
Yeah. While still
And-
being usable in the direct fire, anti-surface, and anti-land role.
It's actually quite a good run. Now, admittedly, it does actually lead to some other interesting options. Because, as I recall, yes, the Chileans use a variant of this, which is the 4-inch 62. They get that post-war, which is a variant made from it. I think potentially you might just see a new generation 5-inch 56, maybe a 5-inch 50, or maybe a 5-inch 60. I just don't see them necessarily wanting to drop down because by the time this gun would be looked to be replaced, you're probably looking 70s.
I'm not even
Yeah,
sure.
and right. Okay, so quickly, I'm getting sent around to shops. So I have to go for a while. But
We might not be here
it's
when
going to
you
be
get
replaced
back.
in the 70s. I know.
Well-
It's going to be replaced in the 70s.
Well,
Because, and this explicitly because there's a large shift with how shipboard autoloaders for the 5-inch and the 4-inch are designed. Specifically, you see the modern carousel system being introduced. And if they're replacing everything basically but the barrel itself, they're going to go down to the 4-inch
why would they
or a
go?
4.5.
They're not going to go down to 4-inch because I can't find any of a British 4-inch gun at this period.
Sorry,
being
I meant 4.5.
Yeah.
I got them
I
mixed up.
don't see them dropping down to a 4.5 because realistically speaking, there's actually no advantage to dropping to a 4.5. Because looking at this would then, you're probably looking for them to be, at this point, you're looking a Type 42 equivalent hull.
Yeah.
Which, the difference between that 4.5 and a more modern 5-inch is perfectly within reason to just go with the 5-inch that you know works.
Yeah, but it's the issue of it's not an issue above deck; it's an issue below deck.
I don't think it
With
is,
increased
though.
with increased shell size, and the fact that you're transitioning from one autoloading system to another autoloading system that doesn't have that much in common. Replacing the actual barrel and the gun's the cheap part of that equation.
From what I'm aware of this gun, actually, I don't think there's going to be that many issues doing so. Like, I
That's what
genuinely,
think.
well, it's because comparing this to the actual 4.5-inch we get, there's almost no difference.
Okay,
Like,
I ain't gonna argue this because I'm gonna head out in a minute. Next question.
There are no more
That's it.
questions.
yeah, like that.
Which
Now,
is-
well, give us a
which is-
question.
Which is actually really convenient because well, I had only planned to go for about an hour ish.
Okay, I'll dip then. Bye, all.
Farewell.
Bye for now,
Have a
Bye.
good trip to the shops. Thank you all for coming. It was short and sweet this time, but, well, it was always supposed to be. Because, well, Fleet is, yeah, as it turns out, daylight savings time screwed me. Aggressively. This year. And I don't know why. I was all right on Monday, and then I woke up Tuesday like someone had hit me with a bag full of bricks.
Like, I do advocate for the removal of daylight savings, because I find it's utterly stupid, but...
I woke up like someone hit me, like, it wasn't Monday that got me. For some reason, Tuesday was the day when I woke up and someone hit me with a bag of bricks. And then, of course, Monday night was hell as well.
Fleet, you need to learn to exist without sleep.
No, I don't.
You need to start pulling an Alex.
Been there, done that, tried it, most horrific time of my life, never fucking doing that again.
Trust me, I know it all too well. It is not pleasant, but
Nope, I
you can deal with it.
No.
You are strong enough.
None of you people pay me enough for that to be viable.
Nowadays.
No, but your work does.
Yes, but I exist with sleep, and it's fine.
This is
Also, the weird thing is, I slept. I slept fine. I have been sleeping fine. I continue to sleep fine. I just woke up feeling like someone slapped me with a bag of bricks. And that's the weird thing.
No, that just probably means you didn't actually get a good night's sleep.
Possibly. Anyway, thank